Let's see. Do this. Boom, boom, boom. All right, we're live. Yo, thanks. I appreciate it. See, I'm designing some socks over here on YouTube. Make a new file. Thanks. I'm glad I could help. I'm gonna make this 10 by 19. Yo, what's up, Cartel Print? I'm designing some of these sublimation socks again. So, and I had this idea for some hamburger type of design. So we'll see how this works out. What's up, Jason? So I know that each side of my sock, each sock is about 4.5 inches. I make them 5 just so I can have a little extra bleed and some room to play with them. So we'll see what goes on here. And I usually like to work with my color sliders in hue, saturation, brightness. I know you can work in RG or in CMYK if you're concerned with how your print's going to come out. But the thing about that is even when you're working in hue, saturation, brightness, you get this little gamut warning here. If you're out of your color gamut. So if I crank up the saturation on, say, like a green here, it'll let me know here that it's out of gamut, and I can click on that and it'll adjust it to the right color. Something that'll print. And the main thing when you start getting like too much saturation and out of your print gamut, what's going to happen is your colors are going to start to turn gray and brown. And so what I've been doing with these is just kind of like a vertical type of design with almost like a cross section of something. So this might be okay for the color of my hamburger bun. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this and lock it. And then it's Control 2, or you can go to lock selection. And then I just want to sort of figure out where my colors are going to be. So if I'm drawing a hamburger, it's going to need a hamburger patty. And I'm almost want to treat these like they're stripes. But then I'm going to add some detail and stuff like that to them. So, get the cheese. Put like a tomato type of thing on top of that. And this is just kind of like the boring stuff right here. But it's really important for me to figure out the way that the space is going to relate to the overall size and shape of the sock. Let's see, you can add an onion maybe. So I can make this patty a little thicker, or what I could do here is grab this cheese and the burger and make it more like a double type of thing, which might work. And a lot of this is just playing and figuring out how you want things to go. Move that down a little. And the thing with these socks to keep in mind is I think you have about 6 inches on the streetwear socks, like on a medium streetwear sock, before you start getting into the foot. So if you're looking at this design as it's laying flat, there's a whole lot of like bottom bun on this hamburger. And, you know, that's going to be okay because if you're wearing a shoe, you're pretty much just going to see like from this bottom part up. So we can start here. And what I want to do is I want to be able to take this design and spread it out across 2 socks. And I don't know what the hell I did. Let's see. Let's unlock this because this should... I must have made this... No, I made this 5. Oh, that's right. So I can duplicate that. I must have made my canvas a weird size. So I can just double click on the canvas resize tool with 10. No, that's right. All right, am I not all the way on the artboard? Right here. Alright, so actually I'm dumb. Don't do this. We're just gonna stretch this whole thing across because it's not even a shape yet. And what I want to do here is just draw a guide halfway across my art. What the hell is going on with this thing? Alright. So this is my 5-inch mark. And anyway, so the main thing when I'm designing this with the drips and stuff is I want to think of this as one... Actually, all right, I'm going to go back. I changed my mind. I'm going to draw this and then draw the second half. So what I want to think about this is how this is going to be able to go over and over and over as like an infinite type of thing with the details and stuff that I'm going to add. So we'll start with the cheese and we're going to add some drips. And the thing here is I want to start when I pull my first Bezier point with the pen tool is I want these curves, I want these handles that I pull to be perfectly horizontal here. Because what's going to happen is when I mirror that, let's see, mirror. All right, when I reflect that, then they're going to match up with a good curve. If this isn't that way, so if this, let's say this curve, I think this looks good and it's on an angle. Well, when I mirror that, they're not going to match up. So I just want to keep those horizontal. And I'm just going to go along here and draw these like little drippy things. And these can be all kind of different sizes. And then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of putting them in rough right now. And then I'll go ahead and go back and clean all this up. But the main thing I'm just looking for is like how all the stuff is relating together and about how big I want them to be. And we want some to drip down lower, some to be higher. And you notice these are kind of like coming in at odd angles, and that's something that I will definitely adjust as I go. I might add more drips here and there, smaller ones. And I'm holding down the shift button as I'm drawing these curved points. And that's just going to give me that perfect horizontal handle. All right, I don't know why that's not snapping to that. See if I have smart guides. Snap to point is on. So I don't know. Is snap to guide on? Snap to pixels. Yeah, I don't know what the hell illustrate. Oh, there it goes, intersect. All right, so now what we have here looks like a big mess. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start going in like little by little and adjusting these things. And one like really important thing when you're designing, especially something like this, is to make sure that not only are you getting close to kind of get the detail things right, but it's also important to zoom back out and see what your overall image looks like. And things like these drips, I can spend a lot of time basically laboring over them and making sure that they look exactly the way I want them to look. And I mean, you don't necessarily need to do that, but I feel like it's helpful to be a little nitpicky about things. I want this to look a little, some of these drips to be a little bit longer, I think. And see, this one's a little bit sideways, so I'm just gonna adjust it so it's a little straighter. Because you got to remember, when you're dealing with stuff like these drippy things, there's gravities at work, and it's just gonna basically pull these drips straight down. When I zoom out, it looks like this is slowly slanting, so I can take this one and pull it down a little bit, maybe pull this one down a little bit more. And if I like the way this looks, I can just select these two things, go to the Pathfinder, and then merge them, and now this is just one object. All right, and let's see. I'll do the same thing here. And then the main thing when you're dealing with these type of things, when you're having two almost identical images, like on both sides of the socks, it's helpful if you do something to make them have some variations. You know, even if you just mirror it, which I do a lot of times just for the sake of time, it doesn't look as good as if I actually go in and make the second half just slightly different. Okay, we're gonna do this. This is the part where it's easy to kind of lose sight of what you're doing, because, you know, as I'm drawing these paths, it looks like a mess. But then you just need to remember, like, the whole point is you're going to go back in and clean things up. Then the other thing is once I get these the way I want it, I need to zoom back out and look at both layers of these next to each other just to make sure that they match. You know, you don't want it to look like two completely different styles either. So let's do this. Let's do this. All right, we're gonna bring that out a little bit more. Let's switch this over to a fill-in. And yeah, these don't match at all, so let's go back in there, and this is a little too bubbly here. Bring that in. Yeah, those gummy worm socks is like one of my most popular like downloads that I have. And that was just a photo I took, which I don't know, a lot of people don't seem to think about how easy that type of thing is to do. And if you have any questions too about the process or whatever, let me know. Okay, see that, look at that one was the handles were in the wrong direction. Then you know what I think it is here is this has like way more of these drippy things, which I'm actually not sure which one, how I like it better. If I like it with like a bunch of little like stringy drips or the bigger whatever's. I think I actually like the look of these ones on top more, so I'm gonna get rid of a few of these points. All right, they're starting to match a little bit better here. I'm not sure that I like the way this area looks, so we'll pull that up, move that like that a little bit. Okay, this one's a little crooked. Then this right here is like a little flat. So we're just gonna move this up. Straighten that. Okay, those still don't match, so I'm gonna have to keep messing with it. And this is the part where you really have to be like super, like I said, super nitpicky about it. And I mean, most people probably won't even notice some of these like little things like that, but I think overall, it just, you put out a better product when you're worried about the little things. This curve is like not good. All right, so we're gonna move this over. So the sublimation printer that I'm using myself, if the question's for me, is the Epson Workforce 7710, which is actually discontinued. So let me see. I'm gonna adjust these a little bit. All right, this is starting to take shape a little bit. Let me see. Let's see, I can spread these out a little bit here. So it's going to be not just a matter of moving these sideways, it's also going to be a matter of making some of these curves a little bit lower or higher, just to make sure that we keep the same flow across the entire design. And I actually think that looks pretty good. So I'll merge these. Then this lettuce, I'll just give it like maybe a little bit of a scalloped kind of edge. I can actually make that a little thicker. And then one thing I don't like here, just on my initial coloring, is this green is very similar in value and saturation to this tan color. So I need to make this either darker or lighter. We're going to go with darker. Maybe, yeah. Don't want to make it too blue, but push it a little bit towards yellow. And that's why I like working in hue, saturation, brightness. Is it's a lot easier to shift colors one way or another when you only have to deal with the hue slider. So I know if I move it this way, it's going to start getting warmer. If I move it this other way, the colors can start getting cooler. I could take some saturation out. I can add a little bit of value. And if you're like one of those people who's really concerned about your how much K or black is in your color, then once you're done, then you could go back to CMYK and make adjustments that way. But I find that for me, working in hue, saturation, brightness is a lot more natural. And I know you can work with the color wheel too. A lot of people like that, but I've just kind of grown accustomed to working this way. Okay. So we're going to get back to this part. And when I'm drawing my points, I like to do it as an outline instead of as a fill, because when you start doing it as like a filled in color, then you start having to deal with the way that it's, we'll just do this for now. Just so you can see. See, it starts filling it in very strange ways as you're working. So we're just going to do this as an outline to begin. Okay, and then I'm just going to need to go ahead and pull this handle back into the design. Switch that. Then these, what I want to do is make them, I don't want to make them mathematically even. I just want to make them even-ish. You know, because, again, we want to be mindful of what we're doing with all these curves and stuff. But I also find that imperfect is, I don't know. I think a lot of times those little imperfect things are can also be visually pleasing. And when you're dealing with things like lettuce and drips and whatever, it's organic, so it's not going to be perfect in real life. This is like a little bit big here, so we're going to start working on reining this in a little bit. Have you done the Jason, have you done the method of action website where they have like the pen tool, like the Bezier game and the Kerning game and all that stuff? It's a website called method.ac, and they have a bunch of different kind of design like games that are designed to help you learn how to use like some of the different tools. And there's one specifically for the pen tool. And it's really, I think it's a really helpful game for learning how to use the pen tool and, you know, learning to have some sort of proficiency at it. All right, so the next thing I want to do here, actually, I want to, yeah, I'm gonna add a little more actually to this before we get started. Well, yeah. See, move everything just slightly down. Yeah, the Kerning game is super helpful. The main thing to deal with, like with kerning, for me, one of the things that helped a lot when I was first learning about all of that stuff is to imagine the space between letters. Hold on. So, if you're kerning, one of the things that I was taught was to take this negative space here and imagine that as a container, right? Okay, hold on, let's do this. Right, so we're going to take the different negative spaces here. And this space between letters, forget this part here and this part here where it's overlapping. But you want to imagine these as a container, right? And so if you were to fill this container with liquid, and then take that container and dump it into here, you want the volume to be roughly the same in, I'm pointing with my hands. So if you're going to take this one here and fill this space between the K and E with the liquid, you want to be able to take that same container, pour it into this space between the E and R, and have that liquid fill up that empty space. And you want to do that along the whole thing. And that's how kerning basically works. Some people I've seen try to make this a set space between letters, like, oh, this space is going to be this space. But you're basically just roughly trying to make this so all these spaces are kind of similar, these negative spaces. And since they're all different shapes, sometimes it's not going to work out exactly the way you want it to, like that. And the kerning game will help with that because those are all like really good. They do a really good job on that. But it's just important to remember that you should be looking at the negative space between the letters and not, per se like the space of the letters of each letter as a mathematical value. Move this down a little bit. So we got this. Wanted to add like some ketchup and mustard to this thing, like dripping. Maybe we'll do this under the lettuce. Let's see how that looks. And sometimes I will, like if I'm using red, I'll go to my CMYK sliders just because I know 100 magenta, 100 yellow is going to be the best red that you'll be able to print. So nothing wrong with that. Let's go here. And we're going to try to make these longer type of drips. We'll see how these look. We'll end this here. And again, we're just looking at, actually I'll do it this time instead of doing that. I'll finish off this path. Okay, this looks like a big mess, which is fine because again, we're just gonna go ahead and start fixing this little bit by little. I'm just gonna go ahead and make these little curves at the top wider because I don't like the way they look when they're that narrow. And these type of designs can be a little bit tedious, I think. Well, yeah, I'll definitely add some pickles to the top maybe. Actually, I think what I'll do here is add. So if I'm going to add another drip, then I'm going to need three more anchor points. I want to make sure I'm adding to them, so I'm going to hit the plus, add one there, actually just three. Yeah, three total. All right. And I can add another curve right there, or another drip. Make sure these are all in the right direction. Okay, so this side's a little drippier than this side, so let's fix that. These ones are leaning in too much. Okay, now this one's a little crooked, so we'll fix that. Then what it is these are all narrower over here, so it's actually starting to look a little more like it. And yeah, the worst part of this for me is just the like going back and forth and making sure everything looks cool. I think that actually looks pretty good. So I could move this back. Now I want to do one more for mustard. And I want to make sure that my mustard color is different than my cheese color. We'll make that a little maybe more bright yellow. We're back in the CMYK sliders again, but we'll go back to HSB. I can do this one actually kind of the opposite, so the drips don't exactly line up. I'll start with the higher. I want some of these to overlap a little bit. And again, this is just going to be a matter of getting everything put out there and then adjusting. Select those and just lock those. I just want to lock the stuff that's above this layer so I don't accidentally keep selecting it. Actually, I might make these ones shorter for the most part. That way they're not competing with the original ones that I drew. We move that up. Move that up. Then one of the things about doing this sort of thing where you're layering this, like I'm layering drips over drips, is not making it look like stripes, like, oh, I'm just making every other one in, in between. So some of these are going to need to be maybe really short and some really long. I'm not sure. And that's kind of like one of the other things about designing these sort of things is, for me, I have a vision in my head that I want it to look like, but I'm also not trying to 100% stick to that, and I want to explore a little bit and see, like, how does this work. Now I might end up trashing this whole layer of yellow and just keeping the red ketchup stuff, but I don't know. It might not end up being what I'm imagining. So again, this is just a big we'll see type of situation with this. And one of the reasons why I really like working with vectors, especially for this type of design, is it's so flexible. Is one, I can change this however I need on the fly. But then the other thing is I can take a design like this, and since this is flat in this state, I can cut this out in vinyl and do something with it. I have no idea what. I could put it on a cup or something probably. But it just, it's worth the effort of learning how to design with vectors, just because it is so flexible. Okay, I think that's actually starting to shape up pretty well. I'll take this, and we'll move this, move this. What's going on, RJ? I'm just designing, dude. What are you working on? Okay. So what I like about the way this is now is there's a lot more variation, like shorter drips, but more variation in this part of the design. So let's lean into that a little bit, I guess. Okay, so we're having that same problem that we had earlier here where these ones are a bit, it's kind of, everything's on a slant right now. So let's even these out. We'll add another drippy thing here. We're gonna make this one shorter. So like if we pull a guide here, you can see this side has a lot more parts underneath that guide. So let's just drag some of this stuff up, I guess. See how that works. It's actually not too bad. To adjust a little bit more, I guess, here. Just tweaking things here and there. This curve looks kind of weird to me, so let's even that out. Do that and then move this over. I want to move this down, so that's good. Let's clear this guide. Clear guides, okay. And this is the part where I definitely can spend like most of my time on a design is these stupid details that never look quite right to me. Okay, so this right here is giving me like a little bit of a visual tangent where this part right here isn't distinct enough from this curve, so it looks like just a poorly drawn curve, you know, at a quick glance. So the thing to do there is to make this distinct in some way. I could make this longer, but then that's a little too even with that. So what we'll do is we'll just give this a little bit more of its own shape. Yeah, I think that's better. And let's see. I kind of like the idea of seeing like this upper curve on at least one of these two elements right here too. You know what, actually what I'm going to do here is add another anchor point and then move this one down. See how that works. Right, I don't think that looks too bad. We can actually move these up. We'll add pickles to the top and see how that works here. And like the weird thing here is normally like with this tomato and the onion, I would want to see more than just one side of them. But since we're going kind of minimal and we want this to be able to be like a kind of infinite left to right, we're just going to go ahead and make these. Let's see. What do I want to do here? I don't know if I am going to add pickles now that I think about it. I got to make these. Yeah, no pickles. The pickles don't work in this design, so we'll just keep it like this. Alright, so the next thing I want to do here is unlock everything. Now I'm going to duplicate this and mirror it. Then when I join these, man, this is tripping on me today. Let me make sure everything is good here. Go off the artboard just so I can see. Everything looks fine. For some reason, it is not snapping my objects together. And I don't have time to figure it out, so because it doesn't really matter. Alright, there you go. Alright. So now we have both pairs of socks, or both sides of the same sock, or however you want to do it. Actually, this would be both pairs. But what I don't really want here is for this side, like we were talking about earlier, to mirror this other side exactly. So we're just going to go in here and start moving stuff around there. And, this is definitely a very time consuming part of this and probably not a whole lot of fun to watch, but it's just one of those things. You just got to keep going in there and making things look just so. And again, with this stuff, we want to make sure to zoom out as we're working to make sure we're not killing the entire look of this too much. So we want to see the overall big picture as we're working on the smaller details. So we're going to fix this. Let's lock this real quick. Actually, let's lock that too. Okay, so I can't adjust this one. If I want to move that down, then I need to move this one down too. Something to think about when you're doing this type of thing. I'm gonna add a little, like one of these little extra drip things here. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm gonna fix the second piece of cheese here. And we'll start, actually let's lock these. Move those up there. That one a little longer. Let's move this down. Yeah, sometimes these Bezier things can be a real pain in the butt. Alright, let's see. Okay, this is starting to take shape a little bit here. Move this over. We'll move this over. Alright, I think that's good on the cheese part, so let's do this ketchup and mustard stuff and get this thing knocked out. add a little more drippiness here. Okay, this middle part has like way too many like concentrated bits of drip, which isn't like terrible overall, but I think it could look much better. So let's do this and then we'll adjust those. I think we had a little too much area of ketchup there. We'll bring that in a little bit. Fix those handles there. Down a little bit, move it over, fix the curve again, fix this curve, move that back a little bit. Okay, this drip is kind of crooked, so move that over and pull this handle out a little bit more. These are too close in size, so we'll move this one. We can make this one longer or shorter. We'll make it shorter. All right, I think that's pretty good for that. And you know, a lot of this is just being a little nitpicky, but it's good to be nitpicky sometimes, I guess. All right, so let's work on some of these mustard drips. And we'll see. lock this. We'll lock this red. Lock selection. Okay, these do not match up for some reason. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So let's select these. Make these a little bit of a different color. Get a little too yellow. And push them a little bit towards the reddish. Let's unlock everything again. Lock all. Put that there. We have that part. Now the whole thing here with these is I should be able to just match them up. Over and over. And we'll delete these. So now we're going to treat these all as one. So let's get rid of this. We'll just draw this one the size of the canvas. Move that to the back. We'll lock that selection. We'll make some sesame seeds here, which I can look that up. It's always good to pull up some reference when you're doing something like this too, just so you can see like what does a sesame seed look like, instead of trying to guess. We're just gonna make this basic shape. Sesame seeds actually have like this little kind of knobby thing here too, which I don't know if I necessarily need that, but let's do this, do this, do this. Pair Pathfinder, we're gonna merge those. Make these a little bit lighter, otherwise you won't be able to see it. These I'm just going to duplicate and sort of randomly rotate. And again, we're just going for balance here. If I want any of these like coming off the edge on the left or right, I can do that too. So if I wanted one of these to be on the edge here, I'll do this and then I'll move it. I'll go transform, move. My canvas is 10 inches, so I'm going to move this 10 inches horizontal and then make a copy. And then, nope, I didn't hit make a copy. So let's do that again. Transform, move, 10 inches horizontal, copy. And then if I crop this off, it'll line up with that, which we'll do at the end. But for now, let's just get these kind of how we want them. And then again, with this type of stuff, the trick is to distribute these so it looks even but doesn't look like they're in lines or anything. And you can spend a lot of time on that sort of thing too. And I'll say that's about good enough. Everything up a little bit. And now we can start adding shading and detail. So let's merge those. Let's merge those. This pickle, I actually didn't change any of the curves, but I really don't care. I mean, the lettuce, I didn't change anything, but that's fine. All right. Get these together. Get these together. And now we'll start adding a little bit of shading detail to these. We're going to try something here. Let's see how this works. Just going to add like a little drop shadow to these seeds. Then we're going to add a little more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Blob Brush. And the Blob Brush is just going to allow me to draw. And I have a pen display, so I'm using my pen display to draw. And what I want to do is use this Blob Brush and just add some shadows and highlights to things. And we'll see how that looks. And actually, you know what? I'm going here. You always need to have a light source. So moving my drop shadows here or cast shadows here is going to mean that my light source is coming in from this top left and down. So we're going to add just a little where this is indenting the bun. And this might not work and we might have to undo it. We'll see. It's also sometimes a matter of finding the right sized brush for the job. Yeah, everything's going to get shading and highlights and stuff. Okay, and on these parts right here where it's going to overlap to give me a seamless pattern, I need to make sure that my shading doesn't go through that. This part's not going to matter. Wrong brush. Then I could always go back to when I'm done with this and make adjustments to any of this stuff. And again, that's the great thing about vectors is it's so non-destructive. And again, I can go in here with the pen tool if I wanted and make these curves, but sometimes I just like the imperfectness of drawing things by hand. Not everything needs to look like it was done by a machine. No, the tablet that I'm using right now is the Monoprice tablet that I've been using for a few years, and mostly it's bigger, which kind of helps with some of this stuff. I think the drawing experience on the Huion that I got from Amazon is actually better overall as far as control and the way the pen feels and everything and the surface of it. But I like to have a big working surface. Alright, so see how just adding the shadow here and the highlight here, it gives us the illusion of the bun having some sort of an indentation where the seeds are. And the other thing we'll do is we're just going to add a little bit of shading to these seeds, but we don't want it to be too stark. And again, you want to just follow where your drop shadows are on these things. And these are things that, again, most people probably won't notice why they're wrong or anything, but it helps to pay attention to the details. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I could also add a highlight here if I wanted to this side of the seed. Which I'm not sure. That's too much. Give this a little bit of yellow. And some of these things, like, sometimes there's not enough contrast for it to really show up in the print. So sometimes you're just kind of adding unnecessary, I guess, like superfluous detail, but we'll do it just for the sake of doing it. No idea what that is. All right, let's do that. And this blob brush has controls that you can set for how much it helps you smooth out your curves and stuff. And sometimes that can be great. Sometimes it can work against you. But it's nice to have if you're like me and you don't have the best motor control skills. See, I can't do that. Well, actually I can. Here's what I'll do. So I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do the shading on this one exactly how I want it. And a lot of times I find myself having to draw these a few times just to get it just so. Now I could select this. Right click on that, or transform, move. We'll move that over 10 inches, 0, copy. And now the detail is where it should be there. So those are the seeds, and we'll use this same color probably here. We're just going to add a shadow where the bun kind of curves here and turns away from the light. We'll make this a little different than the color of that shadowy stuff. And again, we want enough contrast so that it prints. Okay, here. We're gonna need another shadow. The onion. This onion, I think, probably should be pushed a little more towards yellow. The seeds. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think just like I said, the little bit of detail on the seeds makes a lot of difference. And here for the onions, I'm just going to give this some texture. Here. And what I actually could do, let's try this. We'll move these all the way up. This will work because it's so flat of an image. Okay, that's too much in there. Oh boy. This is too much detail here with these things. I think it looks better where they're a little more bold. These little texture lines. I'm gonna spread this stuff out more. This color for the onions is gonna be like, oof. That's always like one of the hardest things because it's not white exactly, but it kind of is, but it's kind of yellow, but it's kind of not. So we'll just, for now, we'll stick with this kind of cool grayish blue color. Okay. That looks pretty decent. We'll bring this to the front. And what the heck am I looking for? There's this down here. There's an opacity thing. Appearance. Okay, so we're going to select this and select this. I think there's a blending mode. Appearance. Brushes. Color? No. Yeah, I'll come back to that later. Okay. Now what we're gonna do here is Just gonna add a little bit of the drop shadow thing here. Add a little shadow here. And then for the tomato, we're just going to add a few highlights here and there, not many. I want this kind of close to this color here. Highlights here. And like I said, we're not going to go too crazy on this stuff. But I definitely want to adjust that color, so I'm just going to select same color. We'll hide that selection. Not too bad. Let's see what happens if we add some, like one more layer of highlights to that. It might be cool, it might be terrible. You never know until you mess around and do it. which I'm not sure that adds anything, so we'll just leave this like that for now. Alright, we're gonna move these up. Okay, we're gonna add a little shadow here. Alright, so the same thing as we did with the seeds for these drips, we're gonna add, I'm just gonna add like a shadow over here on this side, following our light source. Alright, so we're adding the shadows to this layer too. So now I want to make this pretty saturated and bright, and that'll give us that kind of plasticky, like specular highlight look for this part. And if I wanted to, I could also add like a little light bouncing back in there, but for this type of design, I feel like that's probably too much. It's not bad. I could probably add some highlights that way, but again, with this type of thing, I prefer not to. Alright, so let's get these highlights on this side here. Oop. We want to sample this color, make sure we're drawing this in with the right, correct color. Do that. Just fill this in. And then the cool thing about the blob brush is you can see this outline here, but if I draw into it with the blob brush, then it just merges it as you draw. Alright, so I'm just gonna keep drawing this stuff in right here. I'm gonna make some swatch over here with the same color because I want to see what this would look like if I added a highlight, and then bring this part down. And we got to watch out here for our visual tangent. Put this up a little higher anyways. Do the same thing here. What I want to try to do, and I don't know if this is going to work, is just kind of stipple in some texture. Do I have a print shop? I print stuff here at home, but I don't have a shop just for printing for, like commercially or anything. I do a lot of designing. Let's see. I'll add some little stray ones here too. I'm designing some socks, some hamburger socks in the same style as the last couple of things that I designed, the ice cream socks and the what did I do? I did ice cream, I did pizza and a donut. I what originally before I found a good spot for them. I was making my own inserts out of cardboard, but that gets to be they don't last very long. So if you're doing a lot, um, of socks, then your cardboard ones are gonna be good for a few prints. Then you're gonna have to print them over. I just get the ones that Silky Socks has when I buy my socks, and those last pretty good. I know some people make some out of like MDF, or you can get some aluminum inserts. But it's definitely something that I think is worth investing in if you want to do socks. I've never tried the metal ones. They kind of I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on whether I want to try them or not, to tell you the truth. They seem pretty cool, but I just don't know how long that metal's going to stay hot for. But the one good thing, if they are stainless steel or whatever, is the paper inserts or cardboard or whatever, they hold some of the sublimation ink. So when you sublimate on the next pair, if there's any of that ink on your insert, it's gonna print on the inside of your next pair of socks. So that's like the one big sort of deterrent from doing that. I don't think I like that. I'm just gonna select all this color. Appearance. Oh. Try that again. Select. Same. Fill color. Delete that. Actually, I want this other one. Let's try this. I definitely want to have some kind of texture on my hamburger patty part of this design. So let's try this. I'm streaming it live on YouTube. My camera on my phone, the back camera isn't working, so I just have this up here. But if you click on the link in my bio to YouTube, you can watch me designing this live. Do this that way, or do we want to do it that way? All right, let's try this both ways. Okay. click on all of these. And then I'm just gonna, I guess, distribute these. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. So let's undo all those. I don't like that. I'm gonna make this a weird color just to start. I'm gonna step and repeat this all the way across the document. Same fill color. That's not too bad. We'll keep that, I guess, for now. So, all right, we're gonna select the same color, same fill color. What program am I using? Adobe Illustrator. Alright, so this is starting to take some shape, and I should probably save it so I don't lose it, since I've been working for a couple hours without saving. That would have been really dumb to lose that. Okay, let's add a shadow here. a little more contrast. Let's actually move this down a little bit. Alright, we're in the home stretch now. We're going to add another... Oh, let's go back up. I'm going to add another little cast shadow thing right here. That's too big. We'll just make a little tiny thing here. We're going to move this over. Let's try the pen tool for this. This might work. This just might work. Alright, go here, 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 here. And these Bezier things are definitely probably the biggest obstacle for most people trying to learn Illustrator. But if you can get the hang of it, you can do some cool stuff. Not sure I like that. I think maybe this color could be a little better. It's not too bad. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I think, is draw in most of these big pieces with the pen tool, and then add a little bit of extra like bits, doodads here and there with the Blob Brush. Thanks, Jason. So yeah, we'll zoom out, and you see it's starting to take some kind of shape. I did a sketch last night, a rough sketch of this in Procreate on my iPad while I was watching TV, and I wasn't sure exactly how this was gonna work because of the the size of the sock, the length of it, I should say. But I think overall this is shaping up better than I could have imagined, or better than I had initially imagined, I guess. So if you hold down the Alt key while you're dragging these handles, then you can draw the handles in different directions. And that's something I didn't know until I used that method.ac website. Cred. Yeah, this lettuce is gonna be like the worst part of this. It was the part that I kind of had trouble working out in my head, so we'll see. I feel like if I make these longer. Yeah, I don't like that. I do not like that. Let me see something. So the thing here is the light's coming that way, right? If this was curved, that part would be in light, that part would be in the light, and then this would be shadow. But sometimes with these like shapes, when you're trying to simplify it, it's not super easy. If I like that. Or what I could do here is just kind of cheat it, which I might do, and just add like an edge. I'll just actually stick to the edge. Then we'll add a shadow side. Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, that works for me. Alright, let's see. Now we're going to move this down. This to the front. That to the back. Move that forward. We add our little drop shadow thing there. Alright, I'll catch you later, Jason. Alright, so there's that. And actually this shouldn't be green, it should be red. So now we just need to do this ketchup and this mustard stuff, and this is done. So let's jump on right on that. So since I already have this color, I'm just gonna go ahead and draw in the shadow side of these drips. I just like to do these by hand. I know they're not perfect, but I like that. So now we're going to go back here. Switch this back to CMYK. Let's see. Go CMYK sliders. Change this to 100 yellow, 100 magenta, and that's going to give us a perfect CMYK red. And actually, you know what we'll do? We're going to make this. Let's try making this that red, and then we'll make this one a lighter color. I don't like that. Okay, never mind. Alright, so we're not going to go with the CMYK red. What we'll do here is go back to with our Blob Brush. Change this back to hue, saturation, brightness again. And then I could always adjust this after, but I like this contrast. Not too bad, not too bad. So we're going to select that, select same fill color, then we're going to make some adjustments to this. Try to make this look even better than it does now. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, so we're just going to keep drawing in these highlights. Alright, almost done with this part. Actually, almost done with the whole design. How long have we been on this thing for? Been a while. looks pretty good. I think I could still tweak these colors a little bit. Which I kind of think this should be, let's see, select. Same fill color. I want to push that a little more towards orange. And add some saturation. Then what we're going to do is select this and darken it a little bit. There you go. Then we're going to grab this shadow, select same fill color. Make that a little bit darker. Shadow here. Clean this up a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do here is bring this up. And we're almost done with this design. So we're just going to go back in with the Blob Brush here. Sample this color. And just add some shadow parts here. Shadows here. Since this is behind the ketchup, there's not the whole lot to it, which is kind of nice. Tons of detail. Yeah, I'm trying, man. Like, it's simple, but then you have to add details too, so that it's, you know, I feel like it adds a lot to it. We're going to add a bunch of highlights here. I'll probably darken this yellow part. We'll see. I think this could be a little darker, maybe. Select same fill color. might want to make the tomato match the ketchup color. Alright, I think for now this is pretty done. Actually, you know what? I want to add a little more shadow here. Give that a little bit of a whiter shadow. Just duplicate that. Alright, we'll open up Photoshop. Make sure we save this so we don't lose anything. Save. We'll export this. I could always go back later, and there's some things I'm going to want to make changes to, which actually... We'll save this. Alright. I'm going to select all of this. Pathfinder. Divide that. Do that. See, I'm gonna grab this one, select object. Okay, unlock everything. And select this, and this. Select all of these. And these are those little details, like this drop shadow can't be the same color on the bun as it is on the mustard. So I have to go back in there and just kind of do this individually. I divided it out of there. And I mean, technically it should also be offset because the surfaces are a little bit different in dimension, but for this type of design, I'm not too bothered by that. I just want to make sure that this looks about right. I think that actually looks much better. Another thing I noticed here is, where did that go? This right here where I missed some color with the blob brush. So we're gonna just go back with the blob, fix that. Alright, so now this I think is pretty much done. Save that. Let's export this. We're going to export it as a Photoshop file, use artboards. And what that's going to do is it's just going to clip off anything that's not on our actual artboard. So all the stuff in the pasteboard area will not carry over. I'm going to save it as an RGB, and then I like to use the anti-aliasing off. Alright, I'll grab my mockup file here. Open. Hamburger. Open this burger file. I'm going to draw a guide halfway here on the 5-inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this half, copy it, go into my mockup, double click the smart object, resize that. Make this a little bit big. Apply the transformation, and then when I close this, then it puts it right on my artboard. And let's do the other half. So I'm just going to Control-Shift-I to inverse the selection, copy the other side. Then we'll go to our other smart object layer, paste that in there, resize this. We're just going to resize it and center it. And again, this is going to be basically the same as the last one. We're just going to make it a little slightly bigger than our canvas. And hopefully that lines up right. And these are our hamburger socks finished. And I think they actually look pretty cool myself, so I'm pretty much happy with this design. I might print some out just to see how they look, but overall, like I said, I can't really complain too much about how these came out. The sesame seeds might be kind of big, but that doesn't bother me either. So yeah, these are our hamburger socks ready for sublimation, and all I need to do here is this is set up for my printer. Prints at 13 by 19. This file is 10 inches by 19. So if I change my canvas size, center it out, 13 by 19. This part here isn't going to print anything. And so I can just hit my print button here. And then the settings that I use for mine, for this type of stuff, it prints in reverse, which I think is over here. Mirror image. 13 by 19 borderless. And that's, so if I use like large size socks, then I need the borderless, and that just prints edge to edge on the paper. And there's a little bit on the edge of the paper where it doesn't print exactly the same, but it's not that big of a deal in the final product. Premium presentation matte paper, and you can do standard or high. I find when I'm doing full color stuff, the high quality gives me better color on my reds. It doesn't shift as much. Sometimes when I have it on standard, the reds can shift a little bit towards like a little desaturated, and so I don't really like that much. If I'm doing something like with a lot of black text, then if I do it on high, then it'll smear on me. You'll get like those pizza wheel marks. And then that's pretty much it. You can save your presets here. There's advanced options. I have it on the color correction as ICM, and I'm just using cheap ink off of Amazon, and I find that that works just fine. So whatever. So once I'm done with that, then I can just send it to my printer, and that's it. I was having trouble connecting this computer to my printer over the network, so probably won't print. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'm planning, and we'll see how it works out. But I would like to stream while I'm designing every day. I'm designing every day, so I figured it couldn't hurt to stream while I'm designing and help some people. If you guys have any questions or anything while I'm designing, I'm always happy to answer. And thanks to everyone who did stop by this time to see what I was doing. And I'll keep this up on my channel. So if you need to go back and watch the whole thing, that'll work too. I know it's kind of a long video, but I don't know. I find these things somewhat interesting. So, anyways, that's it for this one. I will see you on the next one, and thanks for stopping by.